Evening, namaste everybody.
Hello.
Chitraji is our
Hello. Namaste.
Namaste. Chitraji is our doctor and scientist in town and now an author. So let's give her a warm welcome and let her take the stage from here.
Okay, well, a big thanks, and I'm just delighted, that I can share some of my work with all of you. So I'll speak a few words first. So this book came about because I really believe in the value of words, and I will share a short PowerPoint with you. But this particular chapter is very dear to my heart. We are women. So we have to promote women, and I'm a firm believer in that. So I was looking at what I had written. So when I started writing, I have summarized work of 72 lyricists. So that's a lot, the Hindi film lyricists. I have avoided the word Bollywood. So just so that you understand, this is Hindi film. I don't like the word Bollywood, so I don't use it. But basically, I'm saying about Bollywood industry because I'm not talking about the Tamil industry or the Kannada industry. So just so that you understand. What I realized was that there are very, very few female or women lyricists and compared to male lyricists. And, I always wonder why that is so, because women are so much trying to keep the family together, helping and doing everything at home. They never get a chance to actually shine and project themselves. And I'm sure there must be many, many women poets and lyricists who never got a chance. One other thing was that the collaboration was always between lyricists and music directors, especially in those days. And they were sitting late nights, session kar rahe hote the apne. So again, it's very hard for women to leave their house and home and cooking and go and sit with the music director. So I think there were many, many reasons. So I wrote these lines. Women over the centuries have received admiration for their beauty as the beloved, praise for their patience and courage as mothers, appreciation for their unconditional love as sisters, yet their voice was unfortunately stifled. There are some women who have broken the mold. Each of them has somewhat similar traits of being nonconformist, courageous, and even rebellious at times. So that is what you will find in my presentation. I have chosen a few of them, and they are very dear to my heart, and their work is no less. But I have to tell you this, that the quantity of work is not the same as, say, for the male lyricists. So I am going to start sharing my screen, and let me know. Are you able to see?
Yes.
So this is my book, Poetry and Emotions on Celluloid, which is what it is all about. It's the role of Hindi film lyricists. So as you know, words always stay with us, even when the song has become a distant memory. The words are what actually lead to the everlasting effect of that particular song. क्योंकि जो मैं हिंदी और इंग्लिश दोनों में बात करूंगी, क्योंकि मैंने नीलम से पूछा था, and she said people are comfortable in both languages, so I'll be switching back and forth. But just to let you know that the tune is very important, and I like to sing, so I am very much for good tunes. But it's a fact that the tunes can come and go, and especially in today's words and songs, you will not even remember after the week is over what the song was. But if I share some of the songs with you of 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, good songs of 80s and 90s, you will always remember those songs. So that's why I wanted to pay homage to lyricists who never get recognized. Most of these lyricists have done wonderful work. They are real leaders and they can portray so many emotions through their words, but they are not given the same recognition as the hero and heroine who are portraying their songs. So this is just to show you, this is how my book looks, if some of you might be having it. And this is again my book. And the title page says, Wo Subah Kabhi To Aayegi, and that is by Nazm of Sahir Ludhianvi Sahab, who wrote this Nazm, which is called Ummeed. So, Wo Subah Kabhi To Aayegi, it's a very beautiful Nazm. But today we are talking about women lyricists, so I will go on. So I'm starting with the last page of my book, which is, as some of you might recognize, Bhagwan Dhanvantari. So Dhanvantari jo the, wo Vishnu ke roop the, and as you can see over here, he had the nectar in his hand, और अमृत लेके आए थे इस दुनिया में. और ये मेरी ननद गीता ने बनाया है, ये खुद ड्रॉ किया है उसने. It's been inspired from ISKCON. So this is the last page of my book. And I truly believe that words have healing power. I am very blessed to be in a healing profession. मेरा काम ही है कि मैं लोगों को की डायग्नोसिस करूं, उनके मैनेजमेंट करूं, और मेरी जो स्पेशलिटी है बड़ी मुश्किल है क्योंकि पीडियाट्रिक्स भी है और साथ में जेनेटिक्स है और एडल्ट भी पेशेंट्स देखती हूँ मैं. And these patients are not straightforward. A lot of them die. Unfortunately, a lot of them have significant problems. And so I, right from childhood, I've been in this thing of I wanted to always be a healer, and that just came very naturally to me. And what I realized was that words have healing power. They really do. And I will say this quote from Sant Kabir, जो यहाँ दिखाए हैं हमने. शब्द शब्द सब करे, शब्द के हाथ न पाओ. एक शब्द करे औषधि, एक शब्द करे घाव. So what it means is that everybody talks about words, and words don't have hands and feet, but one word can build you up or can be like a medicine. The other one can put you down. And we all know that if we use very positive and life-affirming words, we can heal people. But with the same thing, if we use some words in anger or say something which is not very good, the impact actually stays much longer, even compared to physical hurt. So I truly believe, and my whole purpose of writing this book was that young people and mature people, everybody will be able to read these words and find healing, and maybe we can heal the world one word at a time. So that's my mantra. So coming to this very important concept in our ancient Vedic Hindu tradition is that this is Shiva as Ardhanarishwar. So as you can see, one side is male and the other side is female. So, you know, when we talk about the shloka, Om Triambakam Yajamahe, so Triambakam is three-eyed Lord. So there is also an understanding that all of us have male and female components. And when our components are in balance, that's the person who starts becoming enlightened. So we all have our feminine side. We as females have 2 X chromosomes. Males have 1 X and 1 Y chromosome. So males get 1 X chromosome from their moms. So I personally believe that all the lyricists that I have, and this is, I'm talking about male lyricists as well, all the lyricists that I have chosen, they actually were in tune with their feminine side. Because if you have read Gita, you know that Krishna says that when he's talking about he's in this particular thing and that particular thing, he talks about women. So Dhi and Smriti, Saraswati, Daya, Kshama, understanding, sensitivity, these are feminine attributes. And people are blessed when they have the blessing of Saraswati, male or female. So we all need the Saraswati, the Vak Devi, who can give us the, the treasure of speaking and being able to be understood. So this is a very important concept. And I was really fascinated to read about this even in Amrita Pritam's interviews. Amrita Pritam, and I'll be talking about her. So she talked about her Ardhanarishwar, and she talked about how males have a female sensitivity side. And I know she was not a geneticist. So it's nice to see that science and art and Gita and all different Vedic traditions come together to establish women and role of women in this creation, this Shakti, this energy that is there. And I have also been watching Swami Sarpriyananda's on the Devi Suktam, which is very much celebrating the Devi, Vak Devi. So this was like the setting of the stage, why women are to be appreciated and revered. So we'll come now to women lyricists. So what was happening is that even the males were actually becoming women's voice. So I want to take two people who are most important in this. One is Sahir Ludhianvi, and I've written a lot about him. And the second one is Kafi Azmi Saab. So Sahir Ludhianvi wrote a very hard-hitting song, and that was from Sadhana. औरत ने जन्म दिया मर्दों को, मर्दों ने उसे बाजार दिया. बहुत ही मुश्किल गाना है, अगर हो सकता है कुछ आप लोगों में से किन्हों ने सुना होगा. And it's a very hard-hitting song about how women are treated and mainly kind of objectified and sexually exploited. So that's a very difficult song for me to hear, but it is a classic. And the reason why Sahir Ludhianvi was very sensitive to women's issues, it was because of his own mother. So Sahir Ludhianvi is one of the greatest Hindi film lyricists and poets. And he had a lot of difficulties in his childhood because his father married many times. And there was custody between the mother and father. And Sahir chose his mother. So his mother always stayed with him. So Sahir was very much aware of women's issues. The second song of Aurat is by Kafi Azmi. And Kafi Azmi was of communist background, and he is Shabana Azmi's father. He was Shabana Azmi's father, Javed Akhtar's father-in-law. Kafi Azmi is also a great poet, and he wrote a very progressive nazm on women. It's in chaste Urdu and beautifully said. Kafi Azmi was a very progressive person, and he practiced what he preached. Ut meri jaan, mere saath hi chalna hai tujhe. So he wanted women not to
she's showing the
and not to be admired, but actually to be of substance and work with him. So I'll just request everyone to mute themselves, please. So this is just an introduction that even it was the male lyricists who were writing about women. So we start first, the first person that I wanted to honor as women lyricist was Mirabai. Mirabai was in 1500s, and she was a total non-conformist. And she was a princess who took to Bhakti, Krishna Bhakti, and was totally not at all affected by what people said about her. She was dancing on the streets. She made friendship with people who were sant. And as you know, there was also efforts to poison her. So Mirabai के कई गाने हैं जो कि फिल्मों में लिए गए हैं. मीराबाई के ऊपर फिल्म्स हैं. MS सुब्बलक्ष्मी और लता मंगेशकर का यहाँ मैंने फोटो दिया है. दोनों ने ही मीरा के बारे में गाया है. MS Subbulakshmi from the south also acted in Meera and sang very beautiful song. And Lata of course, has sung. And Meera was also a movie where Hema Malini was the heroine, and Vani Jairam actually sang all the songs. So Meera just kind of epitomizes what a real woman is and how much strength she has. She wrote in Khadi Boli, Rajasthani, Gujarati, Hindi, and mixture of lot of languages. And there are some songs, you might be familiar with Naubahar's song, Eri Main To Prem Divani, Mera Dard Na Jane Koe. So the music was by Roshan, and Lata sang it, and it's a very, very popular song. Na main janu arati vandan, na puja ki reet. So I don't know how to do all the rituals, but I just know that I'm Krishna's. And so beautiful bhajan. And Aswan Jal Seech Mere to Girdhar Gopal Dusra Na Koi. That's a beautiful word. Asuvan Jal Seech Prem Bela Boy. Meera Prabhu Lagna Lagi Honi Hosa Hoi. मतलब आंसुओं से सींच करके उसने प्रेम की बेल बोई है. What a poetic way of describing this. So that is about Meera. I've written a full article about Meera, and maybe I'll share this. I've written as the eternal feminist. I'm very impressed with Mirabai. And when I was small, I actually danced on that Payoji, Mere to Girdhar Gopal Dusra Na Koi. So this was a find for me because I did not know. Most of you might be knowing about Nargis, the film actress, who was a great film actress. She received a lot of awards. Very popular in late 40s, 50s, and early 60s. She had a very good chemistry with Raj Kapoor, and she was the Mother India. She received a lot of awards for that. So Nargis's mother was Jaddan-bai, and she was amazing. She was in 1930s, she was a producer, singer, composer. She had a whole production house, Sangeet Films, and writer and lyricist. And this is, you can imagine, in 1930s, this woman was a producer and so well known. So I was very happy to learn about her. So she has written a ghazal, which is called Yahi Arzu Thi Dil Ki Kareeb Yaar Hota. Aur hazar jaan se kurban, main hazar bar hota. It's a beautiful ghazal that she has written. So Nargis Dutt is the mother of Sanjay Dutt and the wife of Sunil Dutt. So they're quite a famous film family. But I wanted to honor Jaddan-bai, so I have written about her in my book. So we come to Amrita Pritam, another feminist and a great writer. She was a writer in Hindi and Punjabi, a novelist, essayist, poet. She has received many awards, Sahitya Academy Award, and has received Padma Shri and Padma Vibhushan. So Amrita Pritam actually witnessed the partition. So this was the very traumatic part of our Indian history, as you know. When the partition happened in 1947, there was a lot of trauma. And as is always there, the biggest people who suffer are women and children. So there was a lot of violence committed against women, a lot of sexual violence created against women. And she actually wrote this novel called Pinjar. I don't know if some of you might have seen Pinjar movie. Urmila Matondkar was in that movie, and it's a beautiful movie. And she was very disturbed by the violence that took place. And so she wrote this poem, which is called Aaj Akha Varis Shanu, Aaj Akha Main Varis Shanu, meaning that I invoke Varis Shah. So Varis Shah was a poet who wrote Heer Ranjha. And so she's trying to say that come and see what is the plight of your Heer, what is the plight of women today. So Heer Ranjha, of course, was written hundreds of years ago. Amrita Pritam was again non-conformist, did a lot of good work, and her writing was very much appreciated by all. And there is a song that she wrote, Charkha Chalati Ma. And in that she says that beton ko to maa deti mahal aur betiyon ko parai ghar jane deti. So that's a very difficult concept, but all of us as women and men know that in India, this is really the truth, that if you have a daughter, people start sort of, they don't even sometimes congratulate you because everybody wants a male child. So I am hoping that things will turn around, but there has been a lot of female feticide, a lot of females dying, young girls. And at least I can tell you about my hometown in Haryana. There was 1 month in Rohtak that not a single girl was born. So my family is working on that a lot, trying to educate people about that this is really not right. But I think it will come from women. Women have to stand up for other women and show why it is so important to give respect to women and girl child. So this is a very beautiful poet. Her name is Padma Sajdev. She is from Jammu. So I've given a picture of Jammu, how beautiful Jammu Kashmir is. And I'd gone to Kashmir when I was young, and I still remember it's just like a paradise on the earth, really. So I feel very sad when there is conflict, but we are not talking about the conflict part. We are talking about the poetry. So Padma Sajdev wrote in Dogri, which is the language of where she came from, also in Hindi. And she has received Padma Shri, she has received Kabir Samman. And her songs from Prem Parvat are beautiful because they reflect the nature. So one of the songs goes like this. Ye neer kahan se barse, ye badri kahan se chai hai. So the whole song is just only about nature. It is a very beautiful song. And, I am hoping that one day I'll be able to make a podcast with the songs. I can sing all the songs for people as well, all my favorite songs. So this is another find. All of you might be knowing. This is Meenakumari, tragedian, actor par excellence. She portrayed a lot of very tragic female, subservient, a person who's always being wronged against. But she played those parts with such dignity and so much of finesse that it is amazing. Meenakumari was truly one of the greats. And she died when she was 41. I mean, that is really sad. Her pictures are just amazing. Sahab Bibi Ghulam, or so many pictures. She has received many awards, 6, 7, I don't know how many Filmfare awards. So Meenakumari was also a poet. She wrote beautifully, and one of her nazm is called Tanha. Chand Tanha hai, Zindagi Tanha. Tanha means alone. I'm feeling lonely. So she focused a lot on loneliness and pain. And I think, just putting on my clinician's hat, I'm sure she was depressed. And then, of course, she went into alcoholism, unfortunately. And रहा देखा करेगा सदियों तक, छोड़ जाएंगे ये जहां तन्हा. I will leave this world lonely once I leave this world. And she actually sang it in her voice, and it's a beautiful song. Khayyam gave the music for this. So I was impressed to see how much she gave to this whole industry and world. And she was a child artist. She was right from age 4, she was in front of the camera and providing for her family. And most of these people, as you know, are quite exploited. So this is Maya Govind. Maya Govind is quite a celebrated Hindi poet. She has written a lot on Krishna and many other different themes. Her songs are quite, famous. I personally liked this song, which is from film Arop. Naino mein darpan, darpan mein koi, dekhun jise subah sham. And in that, there is a very nice play between the hero and heroine, and that is Vinod Khanna and Saira Bano, very nicely done. Bhupen Hazarika has done the music, and it's they are quizzing each other, and it's a very beautiful song. So this is another very nice poet, Saroj Mohini Nayyar. She was I don't have any pictures of her, there's nothing available on the internet, but she was the wife of a very famous music director that you people might have heard of, O.P. Nayyar. And she wrote the song Pritam Aan Milo. So Pritam Aan Milo was the song that made O.P. Nayyar famous. And initially it was sung by C.H. Atma, and then Geeta Dutt sang it for Guru Dutt's film, Guru Dutt and Madhubala's film, Mr. and Mrs. 55. So this is a beautiful song, and I'm sure some of you definitely must be knowing this song. I'll just sing 2 lines. भीगी रात में पेड़ के नीचे आँख में चोली खेल रचाया, प्रीतम याद करो जब तुमने प्रेम भरा ये गीत सुनाया, आन मिलो प्रीतम आन मिलो, प्रीतम आन मिलो, प्रीतम आन मिलो. So and she was she's written a couple of songs which are very famous, but unfortunately I couldn't get very much about her. So this is Mahadevi Varmaji. She was a Hindi poet, and she was one of the 4 major pillars of Chayavadi, which is romanticism poetry. She was also known as Saraswati. So Suryakant Pathi Nirala ji, who was a very famous Hindi poet, he used to call her Saraswati. And she is also known as Modern Meera. And she was a pioneer of feminism in modern India. So one of her songs was actually put to music by my mama, Brajendra Shrivastava. And I'll sing a couple of lines of that. It's a beautiful song. हंस उठते पल में आर्द्र नयन, धुल जाता होठों से विषाद, छा जाता जीवन में बसंत, धुल जाता चिर संचित विषाद, आंखें 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 देती वो सर्वस्व भार जो तुम आ जाते एक बार. So beautiful poetry, very good Hindi poetry, and very nice. And I'm so glad that she got a lot of recognitions. So this is Indu Jan, and she collaborated a lot with Sai Parajpe. So some of you who might be knowing Sai Parajpe was a female director, and she made beautiful films like Sparsh, Katha, and Chashme Baddur. And Indu Jain has given lyrics for all the three films. And Sulakshna Pandit, who is Jatin Lalit Pandit's sister and Pandit Jasraj's niece, she has sung in them. And a beautiful poetry, and very appropriate to the song. So I was very happy to see a women director and a women lyricist collaborating. So Madrakumari Chauhan was, she was contemporary of Mahadevi Varmaji, and very famous for children's. So this is all sort of pre-independence, independence around that time, and very much for patriotic songs. And one of the most famous songs is about Jhansi Ki Rani, and again another hero for me, or heroine for me, Jhansi Ki Rani, who was in 1857, and she was a freedom fighter. And this is a very famous couplet, Bundele har bolo ke mukh, हमने सुनी कहानी थी खूब लड़ी मर्दानी वो तो झांसी वाली रानी थी. So Mardani is like almost like a man. She was how she fought for her Jhansi. And so this is the time when the freedom struggle actually started. So I'm very happy to see that Kangana Ranaut has done the movie Manikarnika, and she's done a great job. And I think it's important to honor our women patriotic lyricists and also fighters for the country. So coming to a few of the new ones. So this is Kosser Munir, who lives in Bombay, and she became very famous with the song Pareshan. And she is quite passionate about music. She likes to write, and she's written lyrics for many movies, and she has received a lot of awards for the same. So I'm very happy to see new people coming forward. And this is Anvita Dutt, who has also done a great job. She's a dialogue writer, screenplay, and story writer and director. And I don't know if you people have seen her first film as a director, which is called Bulbul. It was there in Netflix. It's a difficult movie for me to watch, but it was very well done. And she wrote the Khuda Jaane a song from Bachna E Hasino, and it was sung by KK, who recently died. So Khuda Jaane is a very beautiful song. There is surrender in the poetry. So I'm happy to see that young women are coming forward. They are doing dialogues, lyrics, and story. So I'm going to stop here and give you people a chance to ask questions or anything that you want to share about what you think about women lyricists.
Thank you, Chitra, for that presentation. I'm quite ignorant, I'm afraid. So it was very educational for me, especially the historical part, you know, going back. I mean, we've all know about some of the women, but not like how you have portrayed it. So thank you.
I have a question, Chitraji. How do you find time and where do you get this inspiration to pull everything together and continue to inspire others?
You know, when I was presenting, I was thinking about that. So if you read my first chapter and my history, okay. I honestly did not have any general knowledge. I still don't. My only knowledge was of films. I used to watch films. I used to read films. And my mom was so upset with me. She said, all you know is about Rajesh Khanna. What are you going to do in this life? I right from my childhood, I was so fascinated. So, and I think, you know, all that came together now because I've been doing this all my life. Like, this is what I find most fascinating, listening to songs, watching good movies, knowing about the actors. So I knew all the tidbits about everything except for I was ready to fail in my pre-medical. Badi mushkil se I got entrance into medicine. So it was hilarious because my father brought newspaper of like almost 2 months. And I actually, mugged it up in the night because my general knowledge was so poor. So I don't know, it's just your interest. I really find this very interesting, very educational, and I'm happy that I can share this with others.
Just like to say thank you. This is Raj Jain calling, talking. Yeah, it was very informative. I don't have much knowledge about all these things, but it is good. But it was very familiar though, because I knew every one of the people you were talking about. So it was nice. It was very good. Yeah, thank you.
I'm hoping to get younger people also interested because there's so much history of our own cinema and literature. There's so much that we can learn. I just feel the world needs to slow down a bit. The digital age.
Uttara, I read your book. Sorry.
I
read your book and you have done an excellent job. I really mean it because in this area, nobody really thought about we always like the songs and all that, but very few people thought about who wrote this, what conditions, what message are they going to give. So I think you have done a fantastic job and congratulations. And particularly when you are so busy, I know that how deeply involved you are in your own research and in your area, and finding time and going into that deep into this film industry, in the cinema, and doing the research. It is really remarkable, and I congratulate you. Sorry, I'm having some difficulty in internet, so I think on video I'm not on there, but I can see and hear everything.
Thank you. Buma, kuch kehna hai?
Yeah, hi Chitra. Thank you so much. That was a wonderful presentation. I love that you talked about Mirabai. I don't think of her as a lyricist, and yet beautiful bhajans, such devotion. So thank you for this amazing presentation. You also spoke about Rohtak, and I guess it's a tragedy. It's unbelievable that female infanticide, that intrauterine terminations of female fetuses continues to such a huge extent, especially in the north of India. So, the voice of women is really full. Is there a feminist movement? Because when I think of Amrita Pritam, I think of her love poems and poetry for Sahir Ludhianvi about the cigarette, for example. Is there a current movement of feminist poets who are combating some of the social evils?
At the grassroots, it's all there. But the mindset has to change, and it'll take time. And that's why, this kind of work is very important. So I just wanted to say this, that my cousin sister is a writer, and she helped me a lot with editing and things. And she kept saying, Chitra, why haven't you written about Sahir Ludhianvi's love affair with Amrita Pritam? And when I presented to Chandigarh, Rotary Club, they also started asking me about Sahir Ludhianvi and Amrita Pritam. And I said, no, I have not, because I want Amrita Pritam to stand on her own. She was a writer. She was a great writer. And unfortunately, it's the sensationalizing kind of things that have gotten into the press. But she has written such deep, novel, and she's received Sahitya Academy Award. You don't get that. So in my book, I have avoided all the love stories and all the scandals and things, because I wanted to really, for me, these lyricists are to be, I really respect them. I respect their art. So I wanted the focus to be on their art and them, their struggles, but not, kitne affair kiye, kiske saath ye. I did not want to go into that. And yes, there are organizations coming up. There is teaching happening. There is in Rajasthan, every time a girl is born, they make a ped lagate hain. So kafi ho raha hai, but say that, the work is done. I don't think so. I think each one of us has a duty in our spheres to work on female education and also how to promote the importance of women. I think that's very important.
Chitraji, can you hear me? When I went to India a few years back, Mahadevi Varma was still alive. And I visited her home, and she gave me 4 of her poetry books, signed it to me. It was such a pleasure for me going to see her personally. And when she was awarded the Sahitya Academy Award in Delhi, I picked some of her poetry, gave it to Mrs. Thatcher, who was going to honor her there at the Sahitya Academy.
Oh, yes.
So it was a great experience. And the other thing I mentioned, if everybody had a chance, must watch Pinjar, Amrita Pritam movie.
It's a difficult movie to watch, but
yeah, it is really very nice. And I'm glad you covered most of all the people I have not personally read about them. So I'm very pleased to joining this evening with you. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so glad. Maybe we can meet and you can share the book with me, because I love Mahadevi Varma's poetry, and I know Margaret Thatcher then spoke 2 lines of her.
That's what I gave it from my library. I was at the India Office Library, and that Prime Minister's secretary came to ask me to give some lines of Mahadevi.
That's amazing. I'm so happy to know you. That's so nice.
And she was, when I showed the poetry, they said, oh no, Mrs. Thatcher won't like it. It's too much of the Victorian, the very romantic. Then I gave her a few lines from her translation. And Amrita Rai and I visited Premchand's son in Allahabad. And they took me to Mahadevi Varma's home to visit her. So it was such a great, really feeling, seeing her house and spending few minutes with her there.
You're very blessed.
Yeah, I was. And she wrote herself. And the poem, I have moved to Richmond Hill now, but I try to come to London again. Next time I come, I will try to meet you as well. Yeah, that way. I'm so glad. Yeah.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you, Chitra. Wonderful presentation. And I read your book is beautiful. Beautiful. I didn't know a lot of things actually. But it opens our eyes actually about the movie and the songs and the way you have explained it. So congratulations again. And I hope you write more and more. Something. Probably that we'll look forward to see some more of this. Okay, have a good luck.
May I ask a question? 2 questions actually. One is, so why do you call them lyricists rather than poets? Because basically it's poetry they're writing.
Yeah, so the title is poetry, but because they are, I mean, you're completely right. Most of them are poets in their own right. चाहे वो मजरू हो, चाहे वो इंदिवर हो, साहिर तो खैर बहुत, या जावेद अख्तर हो, कोई भी हो, पर because उनका जो रोल हिंदी फिल्म में था वो लिरिसिस्ट का था, इसलिए मैंने हिंदी में. But they were writing poetry.
Okay. Second question is, you have focused mostly on the old films rather than the modern era. Is there a reason?
I actually started right from the Bulle Shah and Amir Khusro, Ghalib, and then I've gone up to the recent ones. I've included Varun Grover, Manoj Muntashir, Anvita Dutt, Rashmi Virag. So I've gotten good work from all of them. My sources were like my mother told me a lot about the old films, like Kumar Barabanki and Nashad. A lot of the old ones she told me. And Mitra, my sister, told me all about the new ones. So Varun Grover I've included, Manoj Mankashar, Amitabh Bhattacharya I've included. So I have included new ones. There is one Kotwal, my Mehboob Kotwal, who wrote Tujhe Salam, Amma Tujhe Salam, that Rahman has done. So I've written about him also. But as you can see, proportionately, the older films had many more and very good quality. Now I really have to speak.
Very true.
Do you see a difference between the older poets who knew Urdu and the modern poets who know less of Urdu?
Definitely. So I have talked about Ganga Jamuni Tehzeeb, this is what, our country was, honoring both Hindi and Arabic, Urdu. Urdu actually came out in India. It is not from Pakistan or anywhere else. WhatsApp mein jo itna Muslims ke against kar rahe hain, but reality is Urdu is product of India, and it was a fusion element. So if you read Amir Khusro, he talked about Hindi and Brij Bhasha and Farsi. So yes, it's a fact that many of the new poets do not know Urdu that well, and Urdu is a language which is very gentle, very respectful. I have included some of the Pakistani lyricists, and basically it's artificial, they were from here, they went there, some came from there to here. And like Aaj jaane ki zid na karo, जिंदगी में तो सभी प्यार किया करते हैं, मैं तो मरकर भी मेरी जान तुम्हें चाहूंगा. तो कई सारे मैंने दोनों साइड के यूज किए हैं, हिंदी भी किया है और उर्दू के भी किए.
I see the absence of Urdu words also gives less of beauty in the verse.
And for that you have to read Shakil Badayuni, who was a purist. ए मोहब्बत तेरे अंजाम ना आया, बेगम अख्तर ने जो गाया है. And Shakil Badayuni ki poetry is pure Urdu, but he also wrote Man Tarpat Hari Darshan Ko Aaj and Jai Raghunandan Jai Siya Ram, which Mummy ji and I sing. So they used to do both. They could do both very nicely. किया ऐसो जिया में समाए गए रे, जो साहब बीबी गुलाम का, वो शकील बदायूनी ने लिखा है. And the Hindi ones, Shailendra could write ghazal. ये मेरा दीवानापन है या मोहब्बत का सुरूर. It was a very nice, they did not have, they could adapt to each. Kafi Azmi is written, चलो बुलावा आया है, माता ने बुलाया है, and he is such a great Urdu writer.
So thank you for recognizing the poets behind the film.
Yeah.
So this is a unique piece of work. So thanks.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Chitraji,
Thank
for
you.
taking time to enlighten us and to share, great works with us and insights. With no further ado, I would thank you for everything you've done and for coming in. So thank you so much. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you so much for your
Thank you for everyone for joining us.